This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. We every now and then see what looks like, I don't know if it's the bottom of a chopper that is swinging back and forth.
That would be our.
That is ours.
That would be the rotors from our chopper.
This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me.
So for a long time, FOX5's footage was not in the public domain in its entirety. But on August the 20th, 2011, it surfaced on this YouTube account. Just a few days later, FOX5 comes out and releases their footage to the public record. Now this is strange because they had been flagging certain clips, especially the nose out clip from YouTube. So they were hiding this from the public using copyright laws and rules on YouTube. So they released their footage to the public, to the archive, except there's a huge gap at the most important time. As we can see in this video archived on archive.org, there is footage, but only for the first 15 or so minutes. So it's an hour-long video. It's supposed to be between 8 and 9 a.m. Eastern Time, the live coverage, yet it only has the first 15 minutes. So the question is, what did they clip out? What did they not want to publish? Well, oddly enough, they include this infamous scene, which seems like a big screw-up, where you can see the plane seemingly pop out the other side of the building after this huge zoom-in. And by the way, as they're zooming into the building, you can't see the plane approaching, but it just pops up out of nowhere. After the zoom-in has been completed, it pops up. So basically what happens in the live coverage, supposedly live, is they're interviewing somebody on the phone, and then they hang up the call with the guy, and then the camera changes to this faraway shot from the helicopter, and it just zooms all the way in, and then a big collision. But check this out. Look how the video just degrades down to a black screen for the remainder. But luckily, just days before, which I find to be quite the coincidence, just days before somebody published these 2 hours, so this whole hour and another hour of this live coverage, allegedly live, from FOX5. Now I'm going to play some clips from this, including one long continuous clip around the time where the South Tower got hit. And note how it appears that the buildings are glitching out.
What this group, this archive group is doing is tremendous, because what it means is there's going to be a permanent record. And I think just of the young people, the 2-3-year-olds who maybe lost a relative, a parent, probably don't understand or didn't understand, they can now come and look at this footage and see just exactly what transpired as they're older and more able to cope with the circumstances. And so I really applaud the folks that have made this effort, the time, the effort, the energy, the resources, the money that it has taken to do this. And I think it's really good. You know, it is a work in progress, and hopefully these efforts will, stimulate and cause people to, look at it, investigate further. And so to be a good citizen and a good soldier, FOX5, which we're responsible for, Rooster, is going to make another contribution to you, which is all our archival footage. Hopefully other stations have cooperated, or if they haven't, will cooperate, because it's really a most worthwhile project. And so put it together.
This This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. We every now and then see what looks like, I don't know if it's the bottom of a chopper that is swinging back and forth.
That would be our.
That is ours.
That would be the rotors from our chopper.
This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me.
In terms of anything beforehand, though, no. I mean, I couldn't tell if the plane was in distress or anything like that, but certainly when it hit, there was a large explosion, and again, you had smoke and debris coming out the other side as well.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. I've been talking to Jim Friedel, eyewitness who witnessed the crash from Hoboken. Thank you, Jim, very much for giving us what you saw and heard. Again, just a few minutes ago, apparently a large plane, according to that eyewitness, Jim Friedel, vantage point from Hoboken, that as you look at the picture from our chopper now arriving at the scene, Jim Friedel in Hoboken said it appeared to bank sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposefully, into, oh my goodness,
oh God,
there's another one. Oh my goodness, there's another one.
This seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness,
plane?
Now it's obvious, I think, that there's a second plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. I think we have a terrorist act of proportions that we cannot begin to imagine at this juncture.
Oh my God.
My goodness. A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center. Obviously, suicide, terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. What we have been fearing.
Chopper 5. Anybody on?
What we have been fearing for the longest time here apparently has come to pass. A disastrous terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. Both towers, planes smashing into each one. I understand we've reestablished contact with Dick Oliver. Dick is on the phone.
Jim.
Yeah, Dick.
Jim, yes, just moments ago, as you know, another vehicle, some kind of an aircraft, crashed into the World Trade Center. This is no accident. This is no bomb from inside. This is, as you put it, a terrorist attack. There's no two ways about it.
Dick, what vantage point are you at now?
We're still at Park Row. People are streaming down, heading away from the World Trade Center. Having heard the second blast, people are running, some of them running now. Emergency vehicles still heading towards the World Trade Center. Now thick black smoke. I don't know if you've got a picture. We're trying to take some pictures here for you. Black smoke coming out of the second explosion. The first explosion seems to have calmed down somewhat.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, there's gray smoke coming out of it, meaning that the water is being put on it. People continue to stream past us here on Park Row, as well as emergency vehicles. There's an ambulance, there's a fire vehicle, and a police vehicle.
My goodness, Sally, if I can only begin to imagine the carnage that has taken place. We see an ember falling from the top of the floor of the Empire State Building. It's tough to look at, but let's look at it once again. After a plane crashed into the side of the World Trade Center, then another one, as our cameras were focused on the building, crashed into the other tower.
Jim, is now a very serious fire on the south tower of the World Trade Center. This is about, I would estimate, about the 60th or perhaps the 70th floor of the tower, right on the corner, the northeast corner of the south tower, flames shooting out of the building. We have absolutely no reports of who was in there, but you've got to believe that being around the 9 o'clock hour that people were just sitting down for a day's work in those buildings.
Jim, I was just thinking that if I'm not mistaken, remember several years ago, Mayor Giuliani moved the emergency management office to one of the higher, to the 30th floor or around that area of one of the towers of the World Trade Center, and that's indeed the brain of all the emergency management activity. And now,
I believe, though, that's in one of the other towers. Ollie, can you talk to that? Ollie, can you hear me?
I hear you, Jim.
Dave brought up the point that the mayor's emergency management office, the so-called bunker, is in one of the towers of the World Trade Center, but I don't believe it's one of the two top ones.
No, it's not. It's about the 30th floor. It is not up there. And by the way, for those who are wondering about the structure itself, both towers appear to be structurally sound. They're not only small pieces of debris circulating in the air around where the explosions occurred. The buildings themselves seem to be intact as far as their structure is concerned. There have been talk over the years about the threat of terrorism making the buildings fall down onto the streets. But I can reassure everybody that they seem to be holding up fairly well while efforts are going forward to fight the fires and whatever happened in those two towers.
Now we can see smoke emanating from many of the floors of the two towers. We see to the left of your picture there, smoke coming out of the floors above where the plane crashed into. I believe that's the North Tower that we're looking at there.
Thousands of people gathered where I am here at City Hall Park, in front of City Hall, just watching what's going on. It's very difficult to. They come by and they say, "What happened? What happened?" And you just got to say something hit the building, and then something hit both buildings.
Well, we saw clearly. We didn't see the first one, but we saw clearly that a plane deliberately crashed into one of the upper floors of the World Trade Center. That was the second plane. So two planes crashed into the upper floors of each of the World Trade Center towers. And I understand now that Port Authority headquarters are in one of those buildings somewhere near that location.
Jim, I
yes?
don't know whether we've confirmed that this was an aircraft, or to be more specific, some people said they thought they saw a missile. I don't know how people could differentiate, but we might keep open the possibility that this was a missile attack on these buildings.
Ollie, I must say that we have an eyewitness who said it was a large plane that crashed first. And then as we were watching the live picture here in the studio, we saw a plane crash into the other tower of the World Trade Center. And again, let's just to be sure, there it is. There it is. The plane went right through the other tower of the World Trade Center.
That is a very hard thing to watch.
And clearly untold carnage must be the result of those suicide terrorist activities.
that was a large commercial
plane.
jet.
The gentleman, Jim Friedel, the gentleman from Hoboken who was watching, said the first one looked to him like a 727.
Well, look at the wingspan, the swath it cut through the towers.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of speculation, no doubt. And for years we have been talking about security from terrorists here in this major city. It makes you wonder how, if it indeed were two planes, we did see one, how did they manage to get into the area and to
You
just
wonder,
hit the plane like that?
these are all
They
the
hit
things that
buildings.
that are going to have to be answered. How could two large planes just that quickly get out of control from our local?
Presumably commercial aircraft. And now we can't speak to the first one, but that second aircraft that went through looked like a large twin-engine or three-engine jet. Those are simply not around for private aviation.
Yeah, that's not your Piper Cub.
No, it is not.
That's obviously designed to do considerable damage to those buildings on this day when we're holding a primary election in New York City.
Now, I would imagine...
Ollie?
Jim, what you're saying could be a drone aircraft. That's an aircraft that's guided electronically to its target without having a pilot. Now, that is a possibility as well. In the meantime, I can tell you that planes are shooting out of both towers now. the heaviest being on the South Tower, the northeast corner of the South Tower of the World Trade Center. But there's a considerable blaze going on the North Tower as well.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any way of finding out exactly what is located on those upper floors. You'd like to just cross your fingers and pray to God that maybe there weren't a lot of people up there at
State
that
office
time.
buildings
Yeah.
and, of course, lots of commercial office buildings on those spaces as well. I know during the last terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, my son was in the building, and he told stories of groping down through the staircases for some 50 floors before he, thank God, got out safely.
In fact, the governor has an office in the World Trade Center as well. There is one thing. After the bombing of the World Trade Center in the 90s, I do know that there were major efforts to have disaster drills, to have a preparedness plan in the event of an awful tragedy like this. But one has to wonder how, with two gigantic skyscrapers burning, the fire department and emergency services can handle both in that confined space without a tremendous
it's no matter how much you set in place, how much you try to prepare for, until it actually happens, it's just not the same thing.
Again, you're looking at a live picture of the World Trade Center, where shortly before 9 o'clock this morning, and then shortly after 9 o'clock, planes apparently deliberately crashed into the buildings. Alani DeVito, are you there? Alani DeVito, are you there? I understand we have another eyewitness to this catastrophe. Lonnie DeVito, are you there? Apparently we lost Lonnie, but again...
This may be confusing to some people because in a sense it is a little confusing to me. We every now and then see what looks like, I don't know if it's the bottom of a chopper that is swinging back and forth.
That would be our...
That is ours.
That would be the rudders from our chopper every once in a while.
Hey, Jim.
That's right. Lonnie DeVito, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Lonnie. Thank you. This is Jim Ryan in the studio. Can you tell us what you heard and saw when the blast took place?
Right now, I was actually talking to my brother on the phone about what happened.
Here now, the President of the United States on these disasters.
Terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
All right, the President...
This is very strange, especially with all the other evidence of CGI. But I wanted to put this out there. Let me know what you think in the comments.